Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. And we're all here, and we're all talking football. Talking last week's games, this week's games, and any news that might have been going on in the last week in the football world. While I've got your attention right at the beginning here, maybe I can convince you to subscribe to the podcast and be one of our lovely subscribers. We love our subscribers. Anyway, let's get going. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Recording in progress.
Oh my god. Well, when she's right, she is right. And for you audio listeners, I'm not on my own for once. I'm never on my own. The voices keep me company. It's the soon-to-be named football podcast. I'm putting it out there now. Any day now, somebody's going to be like, I've got a great idea.
No, if anything, we've made the rod for our own back, and we are now the Washington football team of football podcasts, and we are just basically going for... In fact, should I announce the press conference now for, say, next week's time? That we'll be announcing the new name of the football podcast, but the football podcast is up for grabs as the options.
So announce it for, I don't know, the 2nd of February. And we'll announce it to the world what the new name of the football podcast is. In case you hadn't worked out, it's the football podcast, and the glamorous host is going to take you through the intro. Yeah, why not?
It's not as glamorous as Danhausen, as is, I'm pretty sure, being sported on Mr. Matthew Moore's chest at the moment. But yes, welcome along. It's your weekly fix of nonsense in the world of the round ball. I dare say there might be some flavour of an amber and black nature, more so than most tonight. But we'll get to that in a few moments. So why don't we go through last week's games to see who had the biggest brain when it comes to predicting football.
I don't know if we should say it like that. We can indeed go through last week's games. I have them here in front of me. I have also set the book ready for next week's games. Very much like the week before last, we had 3 in a bonus. 3 numbers in the bonus ball. Got some money. Our first of the 3 games is a little thing I like to call Nottingham Forest versus Derby County. Matt, what was the deal with this game?
As Forest, it kind of provided 2 delightful bookends to this week in football. They started the week off against a local derby, the A52 derby for the Brian Clough Cup. Yes, that is a thing. And Forest came out 2-1 winners, so fingers crossed the Brian Clough Trophy won't be going down to League One next year. So kind of thing, or be sold as part of the administration. We kept that in Nottingham just in case the old administrators thought, here's it.
Oh, that's shiny.
Blog to keep this shit out of the club afloat. But yeah, so the game was on Sky, so I obliged in watching. The first half was, it was probably Derby dominated the first half. They kind of looked, dare I say, quite good. Forest kind of sat back a little bit, but in the second half they came back out and kind of, I would say, dominated is perhaps a strong kind of term, but they seemed to get the upper hand. And kind of early on got a goal from Lewis Graben, a typical kind of fare from him. And then added a second one for Brennan Johnson that added some more dollar to his value. as we career towards the end of the transfer window. And just to kind of make sure that, just as the tension had been relieved, Steve Cook decided to take down everyone's favourite shithouse, Tom Lawrence, who then obliged in tucking the penalty away. And then, being the little turd that he is, thought he'd try and get into a fight with our goalkeeper, who looked like he could knock 7 bells out of him. And just to kind of put a nice bow at the end of proceedings, Ravel Morrison got himself sent off for a pretty dirty challenge on Philip Zinkernagel. Then tried to start a fight. Oh, and then at the end of the match, even though he should have gone down the tunnel, still seemed to be about just to try and kick things off a little bit after the whistle. And then apparently both clubs are going to be fetched in front of the FA to say that they can't control their players, which you kind of like, they're grown men. Well, in the literal sense, they're grown men. Mentally, probably not. But, when all the Derby players are kicking off and winding the Forest players up and then kind of running and hiding, it was, a 2-1 win for Forest, but quite an eventful match. And yeah, like I said, we get to keep. Well, I don't know if we get or inherit or take over or keep, because I really haven't kept up with the comings and goings of the Brian Clough Trophy. But it is safely in the hands of Nottingham Forest right now.
Speaking of the actual Brian Clough Trophy, I did see that the Forest team were quick on the draw with the social media post of grabs with said trophy, just to say that it was staying in Nottingham for the foreseeable. So. I'll put your mind at rest, Mr. Muff.
Fantastic stuff. So, everybody ready with your abacuses? Here we go. Unfortunately, the Nottingham Forest fan did not fare too well here. Put down a 1-1 draw, didn't get either of the Forest goal scorers, but did get the Derby goal scorer. Congratulations, Matt. You did secure yourself a point, even though not a lot there was going in your favour. Next up to bat, Stuart Woodmansey. Nottingham Forest to win, Graben to score. 2 points for you, sir.
Thank you.
Swiftly followed by myself. Nottingham Forest to win, Graben to score. And then there's this. Somebody put 2-1 with Graben to score. And Lawrence. Well done, Paul. There's four points there in the first game of the week. Well, the week's not over.
It's a tremendous honour. I'd like to thank the Academy of Nottingham Forest, actually, for providing such players. Yeah.
The week's not over, is all I'll say. Speaking of, AFC Bournemouth versus Stu.
Short and sweet from me, expecting them to get smashed, and they actually went away to Bournemouth and won 1-0 with a Ryan Longman goal. The best part of this match for me was the press quote from Grant McCann. God rest his soul. He's not dead, he's just been fired. But the press told McCann that Bournemouth had 70% possession during the game, to which the only acceptable response, and one that he swiftly delivered, was, "They can keep the ball, we'll have the 3 points." Very much enjoyed that.
Brilliant.
So that's a 1-0 win for Hull.
Now then, as Stu started with there, most of it looks a lot like, Stu, you did have Hull down to get absolutely destroyed in this one, and you didn't get the goal scorer, so that's you out of the running. Paul had a draw and no goal scorer. Matt had a draw of a different variety, but did have the goal scorer down. Little point there, Matt. Love it. And obviously I put Hull to win 1-0. So that's 2 points for me. Moving swiftly.
Did you?
Well, we can talk about the next game if you like. Because you know what happened in the next game? Middlesbrough went up against Blackburn Rovers. A points fest, some might say.
Might they?
No.
Certainly. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you which team it was. Certainly it wasn't a points fest for, and that was Middlesbrough.
Go on then.
Blackburn managed to come away with a 1-0 win, to which Chris Wilder was steadfast in his post-match press conference that it was a thoroughly deserved win and that his team deserved nothing from the game, and that, I dare say there's a few people on there that won't be starting the game on Saturday against Coventry at home. A couple that I've got in mind that I wouldn't have anywhere near the first team for another couple of weeks, but we might come to that later on. The winning goal was scored by Sam Gallagher after a catastrophic air shot from Paddy McNair at the back.
Look at that face.
Who, me?
Wow. I'm going to make this real quick, real simple for everybody. You three gentlemen all had draws. So I think we know what that does for the points. And I was like, Middlesbrough have got this one in the bag. 2-1. If only somebody had picked Gallagher to score. Isn't that right, Stu?
That's it.
Yeah. So a little point there for you. So here's how the week shapes up. Paul has 4 points. Those 4 points were all taken out of the first game, and you didn't get any more points for the week.
All right, mate, calm down.
Well done. As it puts you joint first with me. I got 2 to make 4. Stu, you've got 3 points, and Matt, just the 2 points. But as previously mentioned, a bonus episode. And this is where things get real interesting. Nottingham Forest played again, and they took on Barnsley. Matt, 0-0 draw, did you say?
Not quite. But, as rumours were going round on Monday, Barnsley is obviously COVID-riddled. So, because after having the match postponed just after the C-bomb time, Christmas, just in case anyone's wondering, they apparently applied for the match to be postponed again on Tuesday, for Forest to basically turn around and say, "Go fuck yourself." So no, the match went ahead on yesterday evening, and Forest ran out 3-0 winners. I think like reading what the manager's comments from last night, he was disappointed in the poor performance and said it was a bit of a kind of come down from the weekend. It's to be expected when you get yourself up for a match like the derby, just any old game, as Joe Kinnear wants to call it. And so kind of. They did the job, basically. I think there's like a lot of I think people are getting a little bit too excited by, they can get into the top 2 and all that kind of thing, but it's the kind of game that you get, that you do a job. So Keenan Davis got his first goal for the club, which was quite good. It was quite a good finish. He kind of showed the strength and pace that he had, and he got the ball from the defender and tucked it past the goalkeeper. Emil Heskey-esque, I would have said. It was quite a decent finish. Paul's favourite Forest player, Ryan Yates, got the second one, and just to kind of perhaps add another couple of puns onto his price tag. Brennan Johnson scored the third, which I missed, and still haven't been managed to see since. Because of course the feed on Sky Sports, because it's not the official one, doesn't do replays, which is infuriating. But yeah, a kind of business-like performance, I think, is what they call it in the game.
I think a few more pounds might have even been put onto old Jed's asking price, because he provided the assist for Brennan Johnson's goal, and seemed to be getting a lot of the plaudits, certainly from Johnson in the celebrations.
I would. I saw the celebrations, immediately assumed that he'd scored the goal, and when I got to the end, when the game finished and I checked the score, I was like, no, he didn't. So yeah, I've not managed to catch the third goal yet, but I think the way they congratulated him, I presume it was a very good setup.
Yeah, it was just a stereotypical. Spence carries it, drives down, cuts it back. Johnson just angles it into the far corner. Pretty good goal.
Considering that Brennan Johnson couldn't hit a barn door for the previous month, 2-2 is quite a handy kind of thing at the moment, and kind of with rumours rife that either Brentford and Newcastle and another team possibly in for him. And there's a big debate in Nottingham on whether to cash in on him now, considering he's got his contract in the summer. He's got 12 months left once his contract gets to the summer, or whether to leave it, risk it and see if he can get us into the Premiership. I would go with, if someone's offering 25 to 30 million for him, which is the rumour, I would take that now, because we've got other players who can play in the same position as him at the moment.
That's crazy money to be turning down in it. But I suppose the other side of the coin with it is he young enough for it to have, if he does turn down a contract, to go to a tribunal, or would he be over 23 by the time his contract runs out?
No, he's only 20. But
so that'd be fine. And so if his contract does run out, he can't move without a fee.
Yeah, I think the thing you always risk with that is, one, they can move abroad. If someone abroad comes in for them, or tribunal, you never get the true value.
Yeah, very true.
Which is, if someone's offering £30 million for a player that's barely played 20 games for you, I think sometimes you've got to take that money, whether you've got the most money in the country, or whether you've got the chance to get promoted. Maybe I haven't seen him enough, but for me, I don't think he can contribute that much to make turning that money down. Because we talk about it a lot with the Championship, with the financial fair play. You've got to balance the books, and Forest spent a lot of money on players recently to suggest that if we didn't, that 30 million could balance the books for a couple of seasons if we don't go up. I think that's the issue for me. It's a big gamble not to take. If it is the rumoured 25 to 30 million, it's a big gamble not to take that money for me.
So, as we know, at the end of the last round, we needed something to break this tie. So, Paul, you had a 2-0 Forest win. Point for you. You also had Johnson to score 2 points. Stu, you also had 2-0 to Forest. You also had Johnson to score 2 points for you. Matt so nearly had it. 3-1. Had Davis to score 2 points for you. And I had a 2-0 Forest win. Johnson to score 2 points for me. So we need to break this tie situation. Every single person got 2 points, meaning for the week, Matt's on 4, Stu's on 5, and me and Paul tie on 6. I've put my hand in the bowl of tiebreaker decisions. I was hoping for like a fight to the death kind of situation, but what came out was Nerf War. So I will see you on Saturday, Paul, with all my Nerf guns ready, of which I don't have any anymore. So there you go. What next?
No time at the present to discuss next week's games.
Now then, I failed to double check with anybody here, but I personally could only find 3 games, which I thought was strange. I believe that Stu might have also found 3 games. I didn't check if it was the same 3. So, we're about to find out if I found the right games for the week. First on the docket, Hull City taking on Swansea City. The battle of the 2 cities. Stu, you will go last. Matt.
I have gone with Hull City 1, Swansea 1.
Okay.
And Lewis Potter to score, and Pirro for Swansea. By the look on Stu's face, I've snapped his whole prediction.
I've gone with Hull City 1, Swansea City 0, Honeyman to score. Paul.
2-0, please.
2-0 to Hull.
Please.
Lovely stuff. Scorers?
Longman.
Longman. Yep.
I can't believe these words are going to fall out of my mouth, but Eves.
Wow. Stu, 1-1.
Yep. And KLP to score for Hull. And I have Smith to score for Swansea. So Matt was 1 goal scorer away from taking my whole prediction.
Stole it from under you. That's that game done. Moving swiftly on to Middlesbrough versus Coventry City. Paul, you will pick last. I'm going straight in, boys. It's 2-0 to the Borough. Sporar, Crooks. Stu, spin back to you.
I've gone 2-1 Borough, and after I think he got a bit of time at the end of the game, so I've gone for the new boy that's on loan, that Balogun. Hopefully he'll get a bit more time, and Sporar for Borough, and purely for the wrestling link, Kane for Coventry.
Matt.
I've gone for another 1-1 draw.
Lovely stuff.
I've gone Crooks to score for Borough. Good old, he's taking the Lewis Graben kind of memorial trophy thing. And then, I don't know why I did this to myself, Gyökeres or something like that. For Cov.
Who?
He scored against them earlier in the season. It's a guy called Gyökeres.
There you go.
If you look at the book, he'll be back in the book from earlier in the season.
Basically, what Matt's doing there is playing the odds, because Andy could have written anything down, and when the goal scorer comes out, he'll be like, "That's the guy."
I don't.
Not wrong.
Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
Yeah.
There we go. Paul.
I think they'll sneak a 1-0 win.
Ooh. With?
I like what Stu's putting down, so I've gone for Balogun to get his first.
Lovely stuff. Cardiff City take on Nottingham Forest. Matt, you will predict last on this one. Paul, let's have you first.
I'll go 1-2.
I like it.
I'll go for James Collins to score for Cardiff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Graben,
Obs.
Zinkernagel.
Oh, you swine. I have gone with Paul's prediction, just with one less goal for Cardiff City. So that's my prediction. Stu?
I have also got Cardiff 1, Forest 2. I've got Harris for Cardiff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm assuming you're already writing Graben down for one of the goal scorers. And because the game is played before the end of the month, before the transfer window closes, he's obviously going to score his third goal in as many weeks. So Johnson, just to bump up that last minute valuation.
Go on, Matt.
I've gone 2-1 Forest as well. And I've gone Kiefer Moore. Yeah. Just goes to score for Cardiff. And man. I've gone Graben and Zinkernagel for the goal scorers as well, which I feel like has already been said.
So tune in next week for that tie-break situation that Andy was just talking. If Paul survives the Nerf war, that is, obviously.
I get a feeling that Kiefer Moore's injured. Because he wasn't in the squad for the last game. Just saying.
There you go, there's the tiebreaker of me being shit anyway, so... I'll have a look, and then if we come back to me at the end, everyone can sit on the edge of their seats, and I can tell you the Cardiff goal scorer is going to be for the last bit of the podcast.
Well, before we get to the last bit of the podcast, we will take a small intermission. Time to get some popcorn ready for This Week in Football coming down the pipe, and Matt's correct prediction. It's going to be correct. Right, I'll see you in 1 minute.
Recording in progress.
Well, there we go. She tells us how it is, and we just deal with it. We move on. So, games are predicted. Can only leave.
What are they? Does Matt want to make his alteration to his pick?
I am. I'm going to go with McGuinness for Cardiff, because it looks like Kiefer Moore was left out of the squad because he's about to be sold to Bournemouth for £10 million.
Right, there we go. That is that done and dusted. So, news. Any news? Nothing?
Nothing much from me, but I will turn over to our Hull correspondent for some more news on the takeover that took place before last week's recording, and as he's already mentioned, a small change that's been made.
I mean, Grant McCann was possibly the shortest manager we've had, so a small change may be appropriate. But Grant McCann has been relieved of his duties, shall we say. It might feel like strange timing for some, coming off the back of wins against second and third in the league. But let's call a spade a spade. They're still 19th. They've not had the best of seasons. I know that it's the first season back in the Championship and all the rest of it, but they have spent the majority of the season in sort of the bottom sort of five positions or so. So in that respect, it wasn't a massive surprise. The new guy, the new owner comes in. He's never been shy either in the whole process about saying how much he wants his own team in place. So that was it. The strange thing, much like the takeover announcement, was that it was announced in Turkey 2 days before it actually happened in confirmed for real, which was bizarre. But that seems to be the way things are going. So, I've now had to start taking Turkish lessons and using the translate button on Twitter quite a lot just to see what is actually going on with my football club. But yeah, we talked last week as well about they'd put in a bid for a guy called Alexander Pesic, 29-year-old striker from a Turkish side. That guy has now put out on his own Instagram that he's not joining City, so that looks to have fallen through. But speaking of the transfers, Hull were one of the teams that took out a loan during the pandemic, which meant that they couldn't do any transfer business until that was paid back. To his credit, the new guys come in, whacked the checkbook straight out and paid that loan right off. So as of recording, Hull actually are free to make actual transfers rather than just approach people and say we'll sort it out when this is sorted out. Cue an absolute day of madness where we appear to have been linked with every possible, like, ooh, that guy might have a bit of Turkish in him. Ooh, that guy might have thought about going to Turkey on holiday this one time. That guy had turkey for his Christmas dinner. Let's sign him. So that seems to be the way that today has gone. However, one signing has been made official as far as I'm aware, which is Regan Slater. He played on loan for City anyway last season, but they've got him from Sheffield United for in what is in football in terms the tiny sum of £50,000, which is a bit of a frugal one, that, because he's done all right. He's still developing, and for that, I mean, you take a gamble anyway on that, I think. But yeah, we'll see how that turns out. There was one other player which is looking a bit more like the signing is going to be done rather than sort of announced on Instagram. It's a striker from Fenerbahce, Syed Manesh, for approximately €4.5 million is what I'm hearing. But we shall see if that gets announced officially. It's also thought as well, podcast favourite Keane Lewis Potter may be bought by Spurs and then loaned back to the club. So it's kind of, I mean, if you like, I'm not sure about that myself, because I know that we've had Jared Bowen go on to make a name for himself in the Premier League, but Keane Lewis Potter feels an absolute world away from that level at this point in time. I know he's decent, I know he's scored a few goals, but it's a bit early for that.
As well, obviously, granted, I don't watch Hull every week and stuff like that, so I don't know his actual position, but is he not a striker?
Yeah, but he sort of plays. He's better when he plays further up, but they do tend to deploy him out wide as well. So,
because all I'm thinking is that the last couple of strikers or forward players that Spurs have bought haven't exactly set the world on fire because of a certain number 10 that seems to be taking most of the game playing time there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so, that's why it's a strange one for me though, because like, if they're going to buy him to loan him straight back, I don't really get the point, because even in like by the end of the season, I mean, Harry Kane might go, but surely there's more players like seniority wise that'll take that position. Is ultimately, if he signs that deal, it's one of them where he's going to go and sit on a bench, or he'll just get loaned out again.
Yeah,
so bit of an odd one.
Perpetual loanee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've also been linked with Jordan Hugill, who thinks at West Brom.
God. So basically, what you're saying is he needs to go to your guys, then he needs to go and have a little spell at Forest, and it's another one who's ticked all the boxes. He's played for every club, so we can just tick him off.
So I think he was the guy that had announced that he had turkey for his Christmas dinner, which was why he's on that list. But yeah, so there's a few irons in the fire, there's a few old debts been settled, but on the back of the takeover, busy week, especially because the new manager hasn't been announced yet either. The rumours circulating that will be a Georgian gentleman by the name of Shota Arveladze, but we shall see. We shall see if that comes to fruition this week.
Yeah, I think that was the name that I'd thrown out last week that I'd seen. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I think he was more known as a player when he was playing up in Scotland for Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Obviously, I say we'll find out this week. If you tune yourself into Turkish Twitter, you might find out before. So.
Yeah, and that was 2 days ago, wasn't it?
But that is the news in brief from Hull, if you like, and even though there's quite a lot of it. So.
Any other news? I mean, like Forest have we've sold. Two are pretty much gone. I think Zande Silva that we signed from West Ham in the summer on a free has now gone to Greece. So a brief stop on Trent's side, and someone who's been there a little bit longer but never really kind of managed to get himself kind of properly in the team. Lyle Taylor has gone on loan to to Birmingham for the rest of the season, and
I had not seen that.
No, that's like literally. It's been rumoured for a few days. That's why I wasn't in the squad last night. But apparently he's desperate for playing time. He's kind of the other side of 30, the wrong side of 30 as they call it, and he's not getting much time at Forest. Obviously they've bought players in to go ahead of him. I don't know. I would put him in the bracket of he's like the Mitrovic of League One and the Championship. He's probably good for the Championship, good for League One, not quite good enough for the Championship. And he didn't really get a run at Forest. And the last rumour is always a fun one. Our record signing has always kind of flattered to deceive. He's Carvalho, and he's been out on loan, and he's looked really good in spots. He is being sold to Olympiacos, who, strangely enough, are also owned by our chairman. So it'll be very interesting to see how much Olympiacos pay us for our record signing that we spent 13 million on a few years ago. Wonder if it would close to 13 million. We're just going to balance the books a little bit.
It's the Watford, Granada, Udinese situation all over again, isn't it, basically? Creative accounting.
Yes.
It's never, let's be honest, creative accounting has never caused a problem in the Championship for a team before, so it's absolutely fine.
Well, if you can sell your own stadium to a business thing, then surely you can sell one of your own players to one of your other teams. That sounds
exactly. All you need is your equivalent Uncle Mel just to come in, say, "Ooh, that player hasn't been playing for you for 6 months. I'll give you 60 million."
Uncle Marcos says.
Anything else, news-wise?
Nothing nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, obviously the African Cup of Nations is ongoing at the moment, and unfortunately in the game the other day between was it Cameroon and Cape Verde, maybe? No, Cameroon and Comoros. There was a crush at the stadium ahead of the game, and unfortunately 8 people lost their lives. Not entirely sure what happened, but apparently the stadium was only supposed to hold 80% of the supporters. It was a 60,000 seater stadium, so it was only supposed to be operating at 80% capacity. But apparently 50,000 fans tried to get to the game. And it's ended with the loss of some lives and so on, which is obviously very sad.
Sky Sports News covered it pretty quickly after it had been announced, and then immediately showed the goals. So I thought, what a classy way to deal with it. Well done, Sky Sports. That tournament as a whole has been nuts so far, though, because it has either been red card, or 40-yard screamer.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Equatorial Guinea. One of the teams had to. I don't know if their keeper had been sent off or was suspended,
No, they had a COVID problem in the squad. They had no recognised goalkeepers because they'd all been training together and then had to isolate.
So this was the thing. This can go in as our sort of weird and wonderful piece for the week. The kid who was playing in goal, was it Equatorial Guinea?
I'm not sure. It was last night. Was it last night? Or was it night before?
Quite possibly. But whoever the team was that was playing, the guy who was playing in goal had to use another person in the squad's kit. But instead of that was the number 16, I believe. They'd got tape and taped a number 3 over the squad number 16 on the front and on the back, so that it was clear that he wasn't that person in the event he obviously got a yellow or a red card.
It was actually in that Comoros game. It was a Comoros player. So this is taken from the Mirror, and it says Comoros left back Chaka Al-Hadar had been forced to play in goal for his country's African Cup of Nations last 16 fixture against tournament host Cameroon. Comoros are in the midst of an injury crisis mixed with a rise in COVID-19 cases that has drastically scuppered their already slim chances of progression. I mean, everybody knows if you've got loads of injuries, then you just put in a request to cancel the game, right, on COVID terms. That's how it works.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Did you see the picture of him coming out to close down a shop? Obviously forgot that he was a goalkeeper. Covered his balls to so he didn't get. I don't know how. Yeah. He either covered his balls or put his hands behind his back so he didn't get done for handball.
Yeah, there was another moment where a long ball was played just into the edge of the 18-yard box, and forgetting that he could actually just reach up and catch the ball. Defending header clearance like for miles, could have kept it, played it safe. No, straight back to the opposition with his header. It was funny. Like to his credit, he didn't do that bad. When he was actually, there was a couple of scrambles I saw, and he was very agile getting himself around that goal frame.
I must admit, I'm pretty sure I saw him make what could be classed very loosely as a double save at one point, which I thought was quite impressive. But on the COVID related scheme, it has just come out within the last couple of hours that the Premier League have agreed to change coronavirus postponement guidance after 22 matches have been called off so far this season. So the new guidelines are that 4 positive COVID tests are needed as the Premier League agrees new postponement guidance. This is from Sky Sports. Premier League clubs have agreed on new postponement guidance that says teams will have to show 4 positive COVID-19 cases in order to apply to have a match called off. The guidance change comes after a series of controversial decisions to call off matches, with clubs using a combination of coronavirus, injuries, suspensions and players on international duty to postpone games. So, at least that'll stop teams trying to get games called off where they're basically just saying, oh shit, we don't have our best striker, can we see if we can get this one called off, please? So,
is it kind of going off, well, not slightly going off topic, but is it the winter break for the Premiership this week?
Yeah, so there's no Premier League games this weekend, and then obviously next week we get into the thrills and spills of the FA Cup 4th round.
I was going to bring that up because I looked ahead when I was looking for games, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of mention of FA Cup here. And I wasn't sure if we maybe didn't have a full complement of games next week. I found 2.
There will. I don't know if it depends who Hull's championship opponent would have been for that scheduled week, because they're still in the cup. Then no.
Game against Preston.
Yeah, I don't know if Preston got through or not.
You're playing. You're on.
Good.
There you go.
Little preview there. Ah.
Anything else from a news or indeed in any other business kind of perspective?
Well, I mean, shock horror, Watford sacked a manager. Just as kind of like, I mean, you could probably replay this in 3 months and you could just call that shock horror. Watford have sacked a manager, and once again they've paid heavily into someone's retirement fund. Claudio's got his, and Roy's gonna pad his out for 3 months, and then smell you later, everybody. And then we'll move on to the next one. So Well done, Claudio, and good luck, Roy. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Anything else? Any more for any more?
No.
There we go then. Lots of shaking heads and a nice tight bow put on the podcast for the week. Join us next week as we review the games that we've talked about here and preview the next set of upcoming games, news from around the football world and anything else. Till then, bye from these guys. It's also bye from me. We will catch you next time. Tatty, bye. So there you go, what do you think to that? Another week gone, another week of games gone, another week of games to look forward to. So, you know, not all bad. Big thank you to everyone for listening and or watching. But wherever you're getting your podcasts, please do consider subscribing because it's an awesome thing to do. Also, you can check out our website, cookiecast.com. We've got social media links and email links for you to be able to get in touch with us and let us know how it's going for you. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.